You don't know it yet, but you're already doing way better with money than you think you are. When you're laser focused on your financial goals, it's really easy to feel like you just have to get to this next milestone, and you don't realize how much you've already accomplished. Most people watching this are already in the top percentage of Americans financially, but they have no idea. So I'm going to show you 7 signs that prove you're doing better than the average American. And by the end, you'll know exactly where you stand and why recognizing this could change everything about how you build wealth. The first sign you're above average. Last week, I met a guy at Starbucks who told me he felt completely broke. I asked what he made. $75,000 a year. Good money, right? But here's the problem. He's paying $1,200 a month just in debt payments. Car loan, credit cards, student loans. He's making decent money, but living like he's poor because his income belongs to everyone except him. This guy represents 77% of American households that carry debt. The average person owes $6,672, but many owe way more. If you're debt-free, you're not normal. You're weird. And weird is good because your entire paycheck works for you, not Chase Bank. But here's what's even better. If you're actively attacking your debt with a plan instead of just making minimum payments forever, you already understand something most people don't. Which brings to the second sign. Let me ask you, quick question. If your car broke down tomorrow and needed a $1,500 repair, would you panic or just handle it? Last month, I talked to a woman making $65,000 who had to put her car repair on a credit card because she had zero emergency fund. One unexpected expense wiped out any progress she'd made. The median savings for Americans under 35 is $5,400. For people between 35 and 64, it's only $7,500 to $8,700. If you have real savings sitting in an account, you're operating in a completely different reality. You don't just have money, you have options. You can negotiate from strength instead of desperation. That confidence is worth more than the actual dollar amount. The third thing that separates you from most Americans is a statistic that'll blow your mind. 37% of Americans have more credit card debt than retirement savings. They're literally borrowing money today while having zero plan for when they can't work anymore. Last week, I met a 45-year-old who told me he'd start saving for retirement when things calm down. When I asked what that meant, he couldn't answer. If you're consistently putting away 15% for retirement, you're betting on compound interest, the most reliable force in finance. A 25-year-old investing $200 a month will have more at retirement than a 35-year-old investing $400 a month. You're not just saving money, you're hiring time to work for you, while most people waste their most valuable asset. Now, this next one might surprise you, but it reveals everything about your money mindset. Before I talk about it, if you found the video useful so far, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe, because the next sign is something very few Americans have. When your friend posts vacation photos from Europe, what's your first thought? Last month, I watched 2 people react to a mutual friend's promotion. One immediately got bitter and started calculating how they probably didn't deserve it. The other genuinely congratulated them and asked how they could learn from their success. If you can genuinely celebrate when others win without that bitter taste, you've solved something most people never figure out. Most people think someone else's success means less for them. But when you have margin in your finances, you realize there's enough success to go around. This mindset shift affects every financial decision you make, because bitter people don't get invited to good opportunity. The 5th sign is where it gets really interesting. 35% of Americans are paying rent, which means they're building wealth for someone else instead of themselves. Last year, I met a couple who'd been renting for 15 years at $2,000 a month. They'd essentially bought their landlord a $360,000 house with nothing to show for it. If you own your home, you've done something most people can't. Convinced a bank to trust you with hundreds of thousands of dollars. But here's the real win. Every mortgage payment builds equity. Renters write checks that disappear forever. You're forcing yourself to save while getting a place to live. And if you're paying extra toward principal, you're accelerating wealth building even faster. The 6th sign is my favorite because it shows you've cracked the code that most people never figure out. There's a moment that happens when you transition from financial survival to stability. You stop calculating exact tip percentages and start rounding up. You buy coffee for the person behind you without checking your account balance. Last week, I watched someone count exact change for their order while the person behind them casually paid for both drinks. Regular generosity requires margin that most people don't have. If you can give consistently, whether it's charity, helping friends, or just being generous with tips, you've moved past survival mode. You're using money as a tool for impact, not just survival. And generous people tend to build wealth faster because they think differently about money entirely. The seventh is the most obvious sign that you might be overlooking. The median household income in America is around $80,000. Last month, I met two people, one making $85,000 who felt poor, another making $75,000 who felt wealthy. The difference wasn't their income, it was what they did with it. If you're earning at or above that median, you have access to the most powerful wealth-building tool there is, a solid income. The wealth builder lives on $60,000 and invests the rest. The broke person finds ways to spend $85,000 and wonders why they can't get ahead. Your income gives you options most people throughout history never had. If you have most of these 7 things, stop thinking you're behind. You're not. You're ahead of most Americans and you don't even realize it. The problem isn't your financial situation, it's your perspective on it. So if you have most of these 7 things, you're already ahead of most Americans. But here's something that's going to piss you off. I know people making millions who can barely spell their own name, while brilliant people who have all 7 of these things are still living paycheck to paycheck. There's a specific reason why being smart might actually be holding you back from getting rich, and it's not what you think. Watch this next to find out what these not-so-smart millionaires know that you don't.